Hello everyone, today I want to show you how to make ductless proposals using AirMatch, which is our tool that's available for Windows, Mac, and iPads. And we've had a previous video about creating unitary proposals, so I'm not going to go through every detail of a proposal in this video, so I would recommend watching the other video that's overall covering proposals. But here I want to show the differences when you're creating a ductless proposal for a brand such as Mitsubishi, where you're doing mini splits and you can have different zones, because the system tab is quite different for those types of systems. So let's say I have an existing customer and I've already made them a couple of unitary proposals, and I want to offer them, I'm doing a good, better, best. I want to give them a best option that actually has a multi-zone ductless system for them. So what I can do is open the client and make sure I have the appropriate ductless brand selected. So I currently have Mitsubishi selected on this top right drop-down. And I will go ahead and say Create Proposal. And it's now going to take me to the System tab. But this looks special for the ductless systems because we have a different way of laying things out. The first thing we can do up at the top is we can assign a name if you choose to assign a name for this system. So we could just call this main house, whatever you want to designate as the name of this particular system. And then we'll choose how many zones we want to do. Typically, you'll start with the load calc. So you can watch our video about laser calc to see how to go through and do a load calculation to figure out the load for your different rooms and how you want to set things up. But once you've gone through that process and you're ready to go ahead and build the system, you can choose how many zones you want to designate. So if I just do a single zone system and I pick a unit that pairs directly with an outdoor unit, you can see that when I selected this indoor unit, a couple of things happened. First of all, it automatically selected the remote control that's included with that particular indoor unit. So we know that this particular indoor unit includes the remote. So we've set that up for you so you don't have to manually select the included one. You can still select a different controller if you want to include one, but since one is included with this system, we picked that for you. You can say the location of this indoor unit, and then you'll see that it automatically selected an outdoor unit that matches. So this is part of that same, the MSZ and the MUZ will pair together. They're both the 12K. So this doesn't require that you go and pick the outdoor unit that matches. We go ahead and do that matching for you. Now, if you're dealing with a multi-zone system, it's a little bit different because you may have multiple options for outdoor units that match the indoor unit. But we have you pick the indoor units first, typically because if we can select an outdoor unit for you, or at least we filter down the available outdoor units to the ones that are compatible with what you've selected. So if I try a 3-zone system, you can see on the left-hand side that we show 3 different indoor units. By default, we show the standard default indoor wall unit. But when I go and pick from these options, we will actually change it based on the type you pick. So if I pick a black high wall unit, this designer edition, you can see that we actually have a special rendering of what that indoor unit looks like. So this is helpful if your client says, well, I don't know what the silver one looks like, what the black one looks like. We show you a graphic for that. And so if I go and select, let's say, the designer white for a second indoor unit, you can see it changes from that default standard one to a little bit of the fancier white version. And I can also select, let's try the silver one to see kind of how those compare. So there's the designer silver version. So each of these zones you can give a name. So you could say main bedroom. You can list office, whatever names you want to give these locations so that you can keep track of what indoor unit you've assigned to what room. And then down below, it's going to show me the total BTUs of all the indoor units that I have. And when I go to select an outdoor unit, it's only going to show me outdoor units that can handle this BTU load. So in the case of Mitsubishi, we can have an outdoor unit that it will be able to handle 125% of its BTU rating. So if this is a 24K outdoor unit, it can easily handle this 27K load of 3 different indoor units. Now, if you look through these 2 options and you say, I actually don't want either of these, I want to give this client a 4-zone outdoor unit because they said they want to add another indoor unit maybe in a couple of years, so they wanted to buy a larger outdoor unit. So if you click that show all, so you'll notice in this menu, I have an option to say show recommended only, and that'll filter it back down to the ones we recommend. Or you can click show all, and that will just show you an unfiltered list of every outdoor unit that you have set up with pricing. So that's an important note, that if you don't have prices set up for this equipment, it won't show. And you can watch our video about the dynamic database to see how you get your pricing imported into AirMatch and how you can enable and disable units if you don't want to sell a particular unit. If it's back ordered, or if you just don't want to offer that, you can turn all those things on and off. But it does try to recommend the best outdoor unit that does match. So you don't have that worry of someone who doesn't understand the compatibility issues between different units. They won't accidentally pick a single zone outdoor unit, but have 3 indoor units and end up causing a big problem later down the road. So a lot of the issue with Ductless is just understanding how these systems match up. So we try to take care of as much of that guesswork as we can. And the outdoor unit, we can also say where that's located. So in case that's useful, to just designate that we know, okay, you want to put this in this particular location. So we also have other recommendations. If you choose, let's say, a 5-zone system, and if I go down and pick more indoor units that will be part of this system, so let's say I pick a couple of additional ones, and then I go down and I select my outdoor unit, let's say I pick a 5-zone, we will then, if there's a case where this particular set of units requires a branch box, we will also show another warning. So in this case, I've picked this 48K multi-zone ODU, and now you'll see we get this information box here saying this system requires a branch box. So this is just to let you know, we don't include a branch box by default in the equipment anywhere. This is just a reminder to you to add a branch box to this proposal. So typically you'd want to store that in your custom items probably, and have a branch box that you can then go and add to this proposal. But we do let you know it is required. As I selected the system, you can see on this bar here that we show you now the Sierra and EAR rating, the AHRI number, and the HSPF rating for this system. And then up here, we always tell you, is a branch box required or not? So that's just another area where we remind you, but we put this box here just to call special attention to that. And then the rest of the options are very similar to a unitary proposal. I have my labor warranty option. I have the compressor and parts warranties if I want to change those. And then we have installations. And you'll see that here I have a separate installation type for each set of zones. So I can go here, pick the 5-zone installation, and it'll automatically include all the materials and labor and everything that's required for a 5-zone. And this is all stuff you can configure through the manager menu. If you have manager access, you can go change these. You could have more than just these options if you chose to, but this is a typical setup for a ductless system to have one for each zone. And below you can see it lists the scope of work for that particular installation and what's included. Below we have the rating, which is an optional feature. You can turn this on or off, but we do have the rating feature enabled. So I have the option of saying if this is my good, better, or best. Up here you can see I already have a good and a better proposal. Those were my 2 unitary proposals I already built. So let's say this is our best proposal, this 5-zone system. It's a high-end system. It's got a lot of good quality units in here. So we've got all of our designer indoor units. Let's say this is the best proposal we're going to offer this client. We now can move on to the other items. Indoor air quality is probably going to be things catered specifically to your ductless systems. You can set all this up in advance. Your custom items, again, so that's another reminder you get. If you're on the indoor air quality page and you go next and a branch box is required, it will give you this warning again, just to let you know you should probably add a branch box here on this indoor air quality page. Just another place to remind you. But again, it doesn't automatically add it. The rest of the steps are very similar to a regular proposal, so I'm not going to go through too much detail here. You will see, though, that the ESA, we have special ESAs for single zone, multi-zone. So for this case, since it's a 5-zone, I will select our multi-zone maintenance agreement. And other than that, it's very similar to how the unitary system works. Again, under ESA, you can have presets set up for your different types of systems. So this is a mini split, so I can just select my preset that I've pre-configured for mini split systems. The total investment page is exactly the same as a unitary proposal. You can choose your permit area, you can add rebates and tax credits. And then you can choose your financing, either do our good leave to get an instant approval, or you can select one of the pre-configured standard financing options, which I haven't done for this particular setup, so I don't have any options to choose there. And then when you get to your proposal, it just looks slightly differently because we now show multiple different units for the different indoor units you've picked. And you can see in parentheses, it shows the name of the location I've given for each of these. So we can keep track that, okay, that one was for the main bedroom, that one was for the living room. And other than that, essentially all the documents will look the same as they do for the unitary proposals. And every other feature is pretty much comparable to what you'd get with unitary. It's really just this system page that varies quite a bit from what you'd get with unitary. And there's a lot built in here to just make it a lot simpler for you to build a multi-zone system and not have people who are less familiar incorrectly configuring things so that you end up with an invalid system configuration. So if we go back to the client, we can see that we now have a good, better, and a best proposal. So now our mini split proposal is listed as the best proposal. And if I go back to the Documents tab, I can click the comparison document because now we have multiple rated systems. And now I can see that I have a good, a better, and a best proposal. And I could save this PDF, send it to them, and they would be able to compare what's included in each one and see the pricing and everything. So hopefully this is helpful for you. If you have any questions about how to make mini split systems, how to make these ductless proposals, feel free to reach out to our customer success team who can help answer any questions you have.